How are you doing? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world options trading course. And we're going to go into one of our Laws of Game series, and we're going to talk about why you need to stop having barbershop conversations, right? So this is primarily directed at men, but if you're a woman, you can listen to it too, because you can enjoy it and tell, whatever men that you're associated with that maybe they need to check it out. And so this is going to be content for the person that desires to make more money this year. If you desire to make more money this year, you need to listen to this. And the reason why you need to listen to this is that the barbershop is probably the biggest waste of time for the black man who wishes to elevate himself in this world. You understand me? It's probably the biggest waste of time for a black man who wishes to elevate himself in this world. And we understand how valuable your time is. Therefore, if you don't desire to waste your time, but you do desire to elevate yourself in the world, you need to really, really consider staying out of the barbershop. And we're going to go into it. And we're going to also go into some solutions. My personal opinion is this. Unless you make money in the barbershop, whether you are the barbers, you own the barbershop, or you the guy that's coming in to sell the people that's in the barbershop, you really don't need to be in there. And I'm going to give you a basic understanding of my story and how I came to this conclusion. And it was really based on a lot of random events, but we also understand nothing in life is random. Everything happens for a reason. When I was real young, when I was in the high school ages, right, I decided that I was going to just cut all my hair off. And so what I did was I bought a pair of clippers from like Walmart or Walgreens or whatever, and I started cutting my hair off in the bathroom at my house. And as a result, I never had to go to the barbershop. So when I was real young, I remember going to the barbershop with my mother or my dad, and we would go in there, we would sit in there for hours because, most people go to the barbershop on the weekends because that's when they off for work. And so we would go in there, we would sit in there for hours trying to wait to get our hair cut. And if you had a really, really popular barber, you could literally be waiting for hours because everybody wanted to go to that same barber. Okay? So then the hunt was, well, how can I find somebody that can cut my hair, but they're not so good that everybody wants to use them? And this becomes something that takes up a lot of time in your life. So as a working person, you may spend 2 weekends a month spending 3 or 4 hours in a barbershop waiting to get your hair cut, which means that a large part of your Saturday is left sitting in this particular business waiting to get your hair cut. Now, you're not making any money while you're sitting down in this business waiting to get your hair cut. In fact, it's costing you money because while you're sitting down in that haircut, you could be doing something that could be making you some money. So this is costing you more money than the utility that you're getting out of it. And so once I started cutting my own hair, right, I stopped going to barbershops. Then when I got grown and I was living by myself, I would leave to go play basketball Saturday morning. So in combination between me cutting my own hair and then me playing basketball on Saturday morning, I never was in the barbershop because I wasn't going to waste basketball time to go sit in the barbershop. I'd rather be on the court and just keep cutting ball heads in the mirror in my bathroom. So a lot of what goes on in the barbershop, I missed out on, right? But I didn't miss anything. I just wasn't involved in that. And then on the random times when I would go back into a barbershop, because maybe I was with somebody that needed to get their hair cut and we was just chilling, afro, and then I needed to get an edge and I would go into the barbershop, I would feel so out of place because I wasn't used to being in this place. Because for years and years, I didn't go in there. And so I would feel very, very out of place as to the culture of the barbershop and what they was doing because it just wasn't something I was used to. And we're going to break down some of the reasons why you don't need to be in a barbershop. Missing anything by not being inside a barbershop. And they've made this barbershop, like they've created this mythology around the barbershop being this important part of black male culture, yada, yada, yada. And I'm here to tell you, just because things was a certain way in the past don't mean things need to be like that in the future. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? We need to ask ourselves, what benefit are we getting from everybody sitting inside this business? And we're not trying to have the business owner go down. There's solutions to that particular problem where the person can still have the business cutting hair, but it don't involve in everybody being localized around this one place, right? So here's some of the reasons why you don't need to be in a barbershop. First reason, it's a place where a lot of dudes come together. They come together just to waste their time. Right? A lot of people, they work a 9 to 5. They are content with the 9 to 5. They don't desire anything else different for their life. So what they do is they find activities to do when they're not working that just pass time for them because they're not really looking to improve or elevate their life. For a lot of black men, the barbershop is that place. right? But it's the same way if you're a white man. It's the same way if you're a woman, because you may have the beauty parlor. But we, in this particular topic, we talking about black men in the barbershop, right? White men go to barbershops too. I don't know if Asian men go, but I know, other ethnicities also have places where they centralize around getting their hair cut. But for black men, a lot of them, especially working class black men, the barbershop becomes a place where you just go to waste some time on the weekend, right? It's a time waster. It doesn't really add anything to your life except just being a place for you to waste time, and you kind of like get an escape from everything else that's going on. So it does have some value as a form of escapism, but it's a time waster. And you should ask yourself, if I'm spending 3 or 4 hours in the barbershop, how can I be more effective to getting to my goals those 3 or 4 hours? But the question is, what are your goals? Because if you don't have any goals, well, then wasting your time is not a big deal. If you have goals, then wasting your time becomes a big deal. Second thing, a lot of dudes sit back in a barbershop and they just try to figure out how they can tell the biggest lie. So that's the barbershop. That's what they're there for. They're there is to go in the barbershop. How can I entertain myself and other people by telling the biggest lie? The question is, why do you need to hear those lies? How do they benefit your life? So you sit in a place for 3 or 4 hours and a bunch of dudes sit around and talk about, they try to figure out how they can tell the biggest lie to outdo the last lie the last person told. Why do you need to hear that 2 times a month for 4 or 5 hours? How does that benefit you? You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Third thing, you spend too much time waiting to get your haircut. So we talked about before. You're spending 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5 hours waiting to get your haircut, just to get a haircut. How could you utilize that time in a way that's more productive to helping you reach your goals? We go back again. The question is, what are your goals? If you don't have any goals outside of getting you something to eat, getting you a little takeout plate on Saturday, right? Going and getting you a little bag to something to smoke on, going and getting you some alcohol, and then trying to figure out whether or not that chick gonna have sex with you. Well, it's spending 3 or 4 hours in the barbershop not a big deal, because that doesn't impede any of your other goals. But when you have goals that will be impeded by the barbershop, well, then we got to try to figure out how to get the barbershop out of the way. So the question is, what are your goals, and how does sitting in that barbershop for the next 3 to 4 hours impede you from getting to those particular goals? So the question we go back again to, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to get to? And then you'll start to understand why the barbershop even fits or does not fit in your life, right? Fourth thing, which to me is the biggest thing, is people sit in the barbershop and they have a bunch of trick conversations, right? What do I mean by trick conversations? They sit in the barbershop and they talk about what woman they want to have sex with, right? What women they had sex with, or describing some type of sexual escapade that they had with some chick. And this is very common in barbershops to have these type of conversations. These are trick conversations. Everybody's different. Everybody move different. Everybody operating under different rules and regulations, right? I don't have trick conversations with men. I don't sit around and talk about that type of stuff. Why? Because I'm not a trick. So I'm not going to have a trick conversation with you. And you can figure out whatever type of way, whatever type of spin you want to put on it, how you want to kind of position it to make it seem like it's not a trick conversation. If it's a trick conversation, I don't want to have it with you, because it don't benefit me to have trick conversations, because I'm not a trick and I'm not trying to figure out how to trick, right? And so it don't really benefit me. So that's another reason why you don't need to be in the barbershop, because if you're not a trick, right, and you're not compelled to trick, then what are you doing sitting around a bunch of men having trick conversations, unless you sitting in the room trying to figure out how to get an angle on some tricks? That's the only reason why you need to be in there. So therefore, for these 4 reasons, we're going to go through them again. It's a place where a bunch of dudes come together to waste time. Reason number 1. 2, it's a place where a bunch of dudes sit around and try to figure out how they're going to tell the best lie. 3, you are spending too much time with it and get a haircut. You could be spending that time doing something else that's more productive to your goals. 4, is a bunch of dudes that's compelled to trick and to be the biggest trick and to tell trick stories and to have trick fantasies. They all sit in that room and they get on the same page and they get into a synergy of trick energy. And if you're not a trick, or you're not trying to get an angle on some tricks, I don't know why you want to be inside that room with them dudes, right? So now let's go ahead and let's roll into some of these solutions. First solution, cut you a bald head. Get you a pair of clippers from Walgreens, get you a pair of clippers from Walmart. And I'm not trying to advertise them. I'm just using them as references. I know based on your location and your locale, you're going to have different retail outlets. Get you a pair of clippers from whatever retail outlet that is in your area and just start cutting a bald head. And then we can get the barbershop out of the way. 2, have a barber come to you. It's the reason why when a bunch of black men reach a level of financial success, they start having a barber come to them. Why? Because they got to save time. Their time is so valuable, they don't have time to sit up inside no barbershop. So what do? Is they start having barbers come to them. Okay, so consider doing that. 3, find a time in which the barbershop is empty and get in and get out. So one of the biggest problems about the barbershop is they do a lot of their money on the weekend. Why? Because that's when everybody's out of work, but it's also the busiest time of the week to be in the barber. So can you maybe slide in there when hardly anybody's in there? I used to do that with the gym. I used to live in Atlanta, and I lived by a gym that was really, really, really busy. So I figured out when to go in there when it wasn't that busy. Because if you went in there during the busiest time of the day, you couldn't even work out. There was so many people in there. So I figured out what's the time in which I can get in, get my workout in, and get up out of here and not get caught up in that crowd. You can look at the barbershop the same way. When can you get in and get out? 4, don't have barbershop conversations in the barbershop or outside of the barbershop. So what do I mean by that? Barbershop conversations, sitting around telling a whole bunch of lies, right? Sitting around talking about a bunch of nothing. Sitting around having a bunch of trick conversations. Don't have those in the barbershop or outside of the barbershop, because then you are not conditioning yourself that this is something that you need to be involved in. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? And then you'll feel out of place when somebody brings that type of stuff to you, or when you go into an environment where this is going on, you'll be like, yo, I need to get up out of here because I don't sit around and talk about these type of things. You understand what I'm trying to tell me? So I want you to understand is that one of the ways in which you can make yourself more money by being more productive in 2021 is you can figure out how to get that barbershop out of your life. You don't need it. And it's not to be disrespectful to the guys that own barbershops. I understand that it is a function of business, but there's ways in which you can do business with that barbershop without it letting take up so much more of your time. A lot of times we're doing business with other people, and the way their business is set up, it just takes all your time. And that works if you don't have anything going on except to do business with them. But the thing about me and the kind of people that I'm trying to really focus and get people to understand is that time is money. So when things are taking 4 and 5 hours to get resolved, that's costing you money, because that's time that you could be spending making money. And you got to really understand that. So then how can you set up your life to where you can get in, do what you need to do commerce with these people and get what you need from the situation and get out and go to something else, instead of turning this into something that's a time drain for you. You understand me? So if you got value from this, hit me up in the comments, share it out, like, subscribe. This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, and I'll talk to you later.